Mein Kampf, Adolf Hitler's contentious autobiography, stands as a testament to the intersection of personal ideology and broad historical momentum. Translated as My Struggle or My Fight, this work is not merely a recounting of Hitler's life, but an exposition of his vision for Germany and a platform for his deeply held political beliefs. Conceived during Hitler's incarceration in 1924, following a failed coup d'état, the book's emergence was profoundly influenced by the tumultuous backdrop of post-World War I Europe. At this time, Germany grappled with the aftermath of a devastating war, the humiliation of the Treaty of Versailles, and the geopolitical quagmires resulting from territorial disputes and nationalistic fervor. To fully comprehend Mein Kampf, it is crucial to not only delve into Hitler's words but also to understand the broader socio-political landscape that shaped them. The shadows of past empires and wars loomed large over 20th-century Europe, casting a pall over Germany's socio-political landscape. Following the devastating World War I, the Treaty of Versailles was not just a peace treaty. It was a stark reminder of Germany's fallen status on the global stage. Imposing severe territorial losses, substantial reparations, and strict military limitations, the treaty sought to curtail Germany's power, but it inadvertently sowed the seeds of resentment, nationalism, and a fervent desire for retribution amongst the German populace. This sense of national indignation was not unprecedented. A century prior, Napoleon Bonaparte's dominance over various Germanic states echoed a similar theme of foreign control and subservience. The Confederation of the Rhine, a coalition of German states under Napoleon's protectorate, signified a fragmented Germany, a pawn in the hands of European power dynamics. For the German people, this earlier period of Napoleonic dominance became emblematic of foreign subjugation and the trampling of Germanic pride and identity. While the geopolitical circumstances of Napoleon's era and post-World War I Europe were distinct, the emotional resonance they evoked in the German psyche was remarkably similar. The collective memory of a once splintered German realm under Napoleon heightened the post-war sense of shame, setting the stage for radical ideologies that sought to restore Germany's lost honor and supremacy. In this milieu of historical echoes and fresh wounds, Hitler's vision in Mein Kampf found fertile ground, drawing on the deep-seated sentiments of a humiliated nation yearning for resurgence. The Rhineland, a historically contested territory, once again emerged as the epicenter of Franco-German tensions in the tumultuous post-war period. France's occupation of this region was more than a mere military maneuver. It became emblematic of the broader geopolitical ambitions and animosities of the era. While the invasion itself was a stark departure from international agreements, the world watched with a mix of condemnation and tacit acceptance. Many nations viewed France's actions as an unlawful overreach, a violation of the very principles that the Treaty of Versailles sought to uphold. However, the battered landscape of post-war Europe and the prevailing mistrust of German intentions rendered the international community largely impotent in curbing French ambitions. France's objectives in the Rhineland were multifaceted. On the surface, it was about extracting the vast economic reparations that Germany had failed or was unable to provide. Delving deeper, however, reveals strategic goals rooted in centuries-old animosities and territorial disputes. The Rhine, a natural geographical barrier, offered France not just a tactical advantage but symbolized a bulwark against any potential future German aggression. Furthermore, by keeping a firm grip on this region, France aimed to weaken Germany both economically and politically. Echoing the stratagems of the past, France also endeavored to carve out independent puppet states within German territories. This tactic bore a striking resemblance to Napoleon's actions in 1805 when he sought to reconfigure the Germanic states to France's advantage. Such actions were not merely power plays. They were deliberate attempts to fracture and destabilize Germany, reducing it to a patchwork of smaller, more manageable entities. The fear within German circles was palpable. The specter of a divided Germany, with some regions potentially becoming subservient to French interests, was a nightmare scenario that fueled nationalist sentiments and heightened the appeal of voices like Hitler's, which called for German unity and defiance against perceived oppressors. The tempestuous post-war landscape of Germany, characterized by external pressures and internal schisms, saw the rise of various separatist movements, each with its own vision for the future of the Germanic lands. One of the most significant of these movements was the push for Bavarian independence. Bavaria, with its unique cultural and historical identity, had long harbored sentiments of regional pride. But in the aftermath of World War I, these feelings transformed into tangible political aspirations. The call for a separate Bavarian state was not merely a local phenomenon. It was intimately tied to the larger geopolitical tug-of-war between France and Germany. If successful, Bavarian secession would drastically weaken the already fragile German Republic, playing directly into French ambitions. The prospect of Bavaria's independence, however, brought with it the specter of a broader regional consolidation. There was a growing concern within certain German circles about the formation of a Catholic bloc of states. This bloc, potentially encompassing regions from the Rhineland to Bavaria and extending into Austria and the Danube Valley, was perceived as a potential puppet in the hands of France. Such an arrangement would not only weaken the Protestant North but could also shift the balance of power within Central Europe, offering France a significant strategic advantage. But Germany was not monolithic in its response to these developments. A clear divide emerged within its political fabric. On one side were those who saw value in making concessions. They believed that by ceding to some of France's and the separatists' demands, they could potentially reduce the burdensome reparations and perhaps even win some goodwill on the international stage. This faction argued that a more pragmatic, even if humbling, approach would pave the way for Germany's recovery. Opposing them were the staunch proponents of national unity. They viewed any concessions as a betrayal of German pride and identity. To them, the very soul of Germany was at stake, and any compromises would be tantamount to selling off pieces of the nation's heritage. It was within this fervent atmosphere that figures like Hitler found resonance. Their calls for a united German front, their denouncement of separatist movements, and their vilification of those deemed as traitors to the German cause gained traction. The separatist movements of the post-war era were not mere regional aspirations. They were symptomatic of a deeply divided nation grappling with its identity, its place in Europe, and its vision for the future. The stakes were high, and the choices made during this period would shape the trajectory of German history for decades to come. As separatist movements surged, Adolf Hitler emerged as a fervent voice advocating for German unity and vehemently opposing any form of secession. Hitler's passion for a united Germany was not merely driven by ideological concerns. He viewed the possible fragmentation of Germany as a direct threat to its future strength and as a victory for its adversaries, particularly France. Recognizing the potential sway of Bavarian independence movements and their implications for the broader German context, Hitler sought ways to counteract their advances. He believed that a united front, backed by considerable military might, was essential. It was this conviction that led him to form an alliance with Erich Ludendorff, a famed German general from World War I. Ludendorff, a respected figure within the German military establishment. He was seen as the key to garnering support from the professional army, which could potentially tip the balance in favor of national unity. The strategic alliance culminated in the Munich Putsch of 1923. Armed with the zeal of their convictions and the hope of significant military backing, Hitler, Ludendorff, and the Nazi battalions sought to disrupt the proclamation of Bavarian independence. Their dramatic entrance into the proclamation gathering showcased their resolve to counter any separatist agenda. But the real test came the day after. As Nazi battalions marched in formation, aiming to rally support for national unity, they confronted the might of the professional German army. This clash was more than a mere skirmish. It was symbolic of the profound tensions and divisions within Germany. The army's decision to open fire on the Nazi battalions, resulting in the death of 18 and wounding several others, was a stark manifestation of these internal conflicts.